This is your First Alert Weather Breakdown, a deep dive into how weather works with meteorologist Evan Thomason.
Hey, good morning. Welcome on into the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm First Alert Meteorologist Evan Thomason here in the Weather Center. Well, we got a lot ahead for us here for the day today. An intriguing forecast, even though our past forecast for about the past week or two has been very consistent. It's been kind of good to keep our sinuses in check because I remember all throughout February especially, temperatures were going up and down like crazy. Here's the thing. Our temperatures have been the same for the past week or so. We've maintained the same dry conditions now for about the past 2 weeks. It's become very, very stagnant in throughout the ArkLaTex here through the rest of this work week still coming up here for the most part. That includes cloudy mornings. That includes still some sunshine coming through for the afternoon and some warm temperatures. And guess what? I haven't discussed even the main headline here for the day today, which is change finally happening in the form of storms coming out and about. And unfortunately, most of that comes in time for your weekend ahead. But a spare few of you do catch in onto the chance of some storms here for tonight. First time we can say that we have a rain chance here in the ArkLaTex for about a week or two. It's been a while. And it's good to finally get the rain back in here. We've had burn bans ongoing, it seems like, for the past entire week, if not more. Those will still be in effect for most of us, again, through the rest of this work week as we maintain pretty dry conditions still here for the next few days until, again, we're getting that substantial rainfall in. The timing is just unfortunate because most of that comes in on the weekend. So, speaking of which, let's take a look at the full weather forecast here for you. We got a lot of graphics to share, got a lot of good information surrounding around this chance of storms here over the next couple of days here for you coming on up. So, here's what's happening. First here off here for the day today. Again, we have a chance for storms, but only for a spare few of you out and around the region. We'll go into who's getting that in just a little bit. So, for those of you that don't get it here for tonight and late this afternoon, you will be getting it this weekend. Watch out for some storms affecting your weekend plans. Both days, Saturday and Sunday. Overall, here's what's happening. We have a low pressure center that is essentially going to be parked. And I mean parked just out to our west. Now, technically, it's been out on the west coast as early as Monday, but now it's just slid closer and closer to here to now to the effect of where it's now actually giving us some good substantial rain chances, especially once we get into this weekend and next week. And a bunch of different rounds of storms are going to spin off of the system that's going to roll through the weekend and, again, into next week. So, yes, multiple rounds of scatter storms that are going to be hitting the entire ArkLaTex. That brings a little bit of a chance of some severe weather at times, too. So we're going to be watching out for that in the process as well. So here's what it looks like on a current radar and satellite picture. We already have storms currently at this hour around most of the state of Missouri. You can see the little bit of the line continues into southern Illinois and Indiana. A little bit closer to the ArkLaTex, though, what we mainly want to pay attention to is the fact of these high cloud tops. You want to look for these yellows and reds. That indicates growing moisture, growing storm coverage. And most of that's happening kind of right on the intersection with northeast Oklahoma and southwestern Arkansas. So just way off to the northern end of the ArkLaTex here for now. But the formation of these storms is going to continue down southbound. You can kind of see the line of cloud cover right along this cold front. This is going to develop and intensify as the day goes out and about here for the afternoon hours as we get that daytime heating. But here's the thing. Only some of those storms are going to affect us here for the day today. Only some of them. Besides that, you can see the ample winds coming out of the south that's continuing to keep us warm in, day out. Highs at near record highs here. And a good amount of cloud cover, which is in case for the morning, but starts to peel away a lot more once we get into the afternoon. But that's a repetitive pattern. Cloudy mornings, sunny afternoons. That's still on tap here for the rest of this work week with this future track. But the main thing you want to watch out for is the line of strong storms, which does roll into a corner of the ArkLaTex. You can see some of them start to develop towards the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area in the early afternoon hours. And then the key to watching this is watching it roll through areas along and north of the I-30 corridor. That's the bullseye here for today, especially north of the I-30 corridor. You can see a few of those cells trying to make their way in McCurtain County, Red River County, and a little bit into Sevier and Howard counties as well, up by Idabel and DeQueen. It's pretty much just targeting you guys only. I'm slowly rolling through the future track where we're seeing good, consistent cells continuing to roll through those kinds of areas here late tonight. But I mean, you're seeing maybe a stray shower wander off as far east as Texarkana, but that's it. Shreveport, the bulk of the ArkLaTex, especially if you're south of I-30, we're completely dry, and this entire system fizzles out by 3 a.m. But it's still a long, extended period of time through, just retracking my steps here, still a long period of time through the late afternoon and into the nighttime hours of tonight where we're continuing to work on chances of storms. Again, up by Idabel, DeQueen, and areas north of Texarkana here for you. So once we get beyond that, again, Thursday and Friday, maybe a stray shower in that same area north of I-30 again here for Thursday morning. But besides that, it's a cloudy morning followed by a sunny afternoon. And another cloudy morning and then another sunny afternoon. And that's going to continue on loop again until we build in chances for storms on Saturday and Sunday here for the weekend. Let's take a look at that on the long-range future track because that, again, affects the bulk of the ArkLaTex here in time for the weekend. So here's what happens. There's that straight chance of rain here late tonight, only across the northern end of the ArkLaTex here for you. And then, if anything, on Friday, these storms could actually retreat a little bit back to the Dallas-Fort Worth metro area there you see on Friday afternoon. As we saw on our short-term future track, most of that stays out of the ArkLaTex until we get into Saturday. Saturday, you see those shades of yellow, more prominent deep greens. That indicates more substantial rain showing up now here in the ArkLaTex here for Saturday throughout a good portion of the day on Saturday. And then it rolls on by. We might briefly clear out on Saturday night, but here's the thing. Another line reforms itself in for the region again on Sunday. So, yes, this is going to be, a prominent issue for both Saturday and Sunday here for you coming on up. Then we get into Sunday Sunday afternoon. And that's when we finally could clear things up. Look at, let me stop on by. There we go. That's the picture Saturday afternoon and evening. And what that's telling me is most of the afternoon and the second half of Sunday should be hopefully clearing things up. So if you're looking for a time to try and get out here this weekend, I think Sunday afternoon and the second half of Sunday is your best guess. Before Monday, I think Monday is mostly clear. But here's the thing. There's another system reloading itself out to our west side again on Tuesday. That could be bringing scattered showers either on Tuesday or Wednesday of next week. That's a completely separate system. Point is, we're going to be locking and loading these storm chances in here throughout most of the second half of the 7-day forecast. And again, all that starts on Saturday. But to be fair, again, we do have a chance for severe storms out of the few storms that are showing up on the northern edge of the region here for late tonight. Now, that's mainly going to be giving us a threat of some hail and some strong winds. There is a legitimate threat for that with those kinds of cells. Technically, there is a chance of tornadic activity forming, but it's not likely at this point in time. That's what we're expecting out of that. And flash flooding shouldn't be as bad with that system. Now, the good news here for the storms over the weekend. The severe weather threat is low. It's not zero. I can't rule it out completely, but it has been noted, and I've really seen just a messy overall system with just a bunch of rain, but it's been good to keep most of the severe weather risk low. No organized cells in place to really cause us any chance of legitimate severe weather over the weekend. If I'm watching out for anything over the weekend, it's going to be flash flooding. That's going to be it because of how much rainfall we will get. Check this out. I mean, this is over the next 7 days, yes, but most of this is going to be coming through over the weekend. We're seeing nothing but shades of red and orange. That's 3 to 4 inches of widespread rainfall around the ArkLaTex and some localized areas. Could get more than that. Let's go over the severe weather risk now because I briefly mentioned it here. Again, the storms over the weekend, not as bad, and that's when we have the greatest chance of storms. But we have still little tiny chances of storms coming in here before that. Again, the first of which happens tonight. Now, I'm mainly looking at areas of the north of the I-30 corridor, essentially McCurtain County, Red River County, even the very northern edges of Howard and Sevier County, too, up by DeQueen, watching out for the greatest chance of getting in on those severe storms here for tonight. Everybody else, it's pretty much everybody else not really seeing a chance of storm, period, especially south of the I-30 corridor. Again, you could maybe see a stray shower or two rolling into areas as far east as I-30, but that's it. That's it here for the day today. Then we get to Friday. We haven't talked too much about Friday because I think Friday is mostly dry. I think once we get late into the night on Friday and early Saturday, that's when some of these storms could roll into the western edge of the ArkLaTex. That's where we have a slight risk of severe weather in play. But this is going to be a system that, as you see, it's going to be very severe just off to our west, actually. That's an enhanced risk, and even greater chances of severe weather up into eastern Oklahoma. But as these storms continue to move eastward towards our region late Friday into early Saturday, yes, they could hold some chances of severe weather, but it looks like they're going to be lacking most of their severe weather intensity as they roll into the region here for the weekend. In fact, I have no severe weather risk to show you at all for either Saturday or Sunday. So as mentioned, that's good news. But then this is very intriguing. This is 6 days away. A severe weather risk new this morning popped up by the National Weather Service. This is in effect for Tuesday of next week. As mentioned, this is a separate round of storms, completely separate part of what's going to happen over the weekend. It looks like we have a break on Monday, and then either Tuesday or Wednesday, we're watching out for a group of storms, and not just any kinds of storms. Already a chance of severe storms popping up by the National Weather Service, and this is, to be fair, very rare for this to happen, where the National Weather Service will go in and put in a severe weather risk 6 days away. Again, that's at the very tail end of our 7-day forecast. So this indicates they are really watching out for something of note, for some strong, severe storms popping up to the middle of next week, somewhere around that time frame. Again, we'll keep you first alert in tune with that. But essentially what this means to you is to stay weather aware, with consistent storms showing up not just for the weekend, but also into next week too, all right? So that is very intriguing to see, and we'll see what happens out of that system there early next week. So overall, here are the severe weather chances that we're getting here in the ArkLaTex, if they're going to happen. Tomorrow, really none. Tomorrow, in fact, we dry out again. Our storms tonight are going to dry out by the early morning hours, and most of tomorrow should be what Monday and Tuesday was, a cloudy morning and then a sunny afternoon. Then we get a chance of severe storms, as mentioned by that slight risk in play for Friday. That's going to be across East Texas for those storms just coming into the western edge of the ArkLaTex. Then they lose their intensity as they go into the rest of the region here for Saturday and Sunday here for you. Once we pop into Monday, that's when the storms completely dry out. So again, it's just a low-end severe weather risk here for the storms over the weekend, but again, the storm should be dipping down in intensity as they get a lot more widespread over the weekend here with that greater rain chance here for your Saturday and Sunday. In the meantime, we have a 20% rain chance just in case you get a light drizzle between Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And the only main system that we're watching out here for late tonight is, again, north of Texarkana. We could see a stray shower technically around Texarkana here late this afternoon and into tonight, but it's not likely. And then, again, Shreveport, Natchitoches, carry on with your merry way and your merry plans pretty much for the rest of the work week. But then the weekend, that's when everything changes. That's when everybody gets in storms. That's why I wanted to also show you that graphic. Two last things before we get into the 7-day forecast. I know we haven't talked about temperatures too much, and for good measure, highs are still in the lower 80s today, where they've been consecutively over the last couple of days. But we have a sneaky little warm-up here for the end of this work week in just 2 days here for Friday. We very well may have our first 90-degree temperature day of the entire year, which is really impressive. The storms over the weekend are going to cool us back on off to a high of 73 on Sunday. Just got to watch out for those weekend plans. And again, as mentioned earlier, if you have to get out this weekend and need to find a time to get out, I think Sunday afternoon is giving you the best shot. Saturday night also looks a little dry. Give us maybe a little bit of a break before those storms reappear, I think, on Sunday morning and Sunday midday. But overall, just a rainy weekend. Hopefully got some good indoor plans. I will say that. And then watch out for the chances of storms. Again, reappearing next week. Already a 50% chance of storms on Tuesday of next week. And again, that includes a chance of severe weather as well. For now, it's just comfy mornings in the 60s, highs getting well up into the 80s, and still some good peaks of sunshine, and a mostly dry into your work week this week. So stay weather aware, especially once we get into the weekend, but especially for those of you north of I-30, you're catching on to some of those severe storms here for tonight. We will keep you weather aware and keep you first alert here through tonight with our full team. Meteorologist CJ Cartledge will be providing your next weather update on our show, KSLA News 12 at noon. For me, I'm meteorologist Evan Thompson. Thank you very much for watching the First Alert Weather Breakdown. I'm very much appreciated here for the day today. I'll have another update again for you tomorrow, same time, same place, 10:30 on this First Alert Weather Breakdown. Hey, you be there. Be square. Most importantly, especially with storms coming out and about. Be weather aware. Have a great rest of your day. Peace.